Hello, everyone. My name is Victor Chen. I'm the chairman of DMC Foundation, and it is a great honor to meet with William Entrican, who is the first author for ERC 721 standard in the Ethereum. Welcome to China, William.
Thank you.
Yeah, how was your trip? Did you have a good time in China?
It's great. A little rough getting into Pudong today with the weather, but compared to before the pandemic, because can't travel during the pandemic, huge changes.
That's great. That's great. So let's talk about ERC 721. That's the standard that defines NFT. In one of your previous interviews, you said NFT can have multiple translations in different languages. In English, non-fungible token actually doesn't have anything to do with currency, so it's basically a serial number, worthless serial number. And in Chinese, it is translated as the 非同质化代币. 代币 somehow is a little bit, has a little bit relationship with currency. So what do you think of this translation, the translation in Chinese?
It's a great question because the words, there's three important problems in computers. One of them is choosing words, one of them is fixing caches. And so I knew that the wording for this was going to be important. And we actually had a lot of community input on choosing the letters NFT. We looked at dozens of different names to call this thing. We had a lot of input and comments. And eventually we settled on NFT, and actually there's another word called deed. Like when you buy a car or a house, you get a title or a deed. So there's actually two names called NFT or deeds. But basically everybody calls them NFTs. And in English, I was only thinking in English at the beginning. Token really has an appropriate meaning for this word. But when you think in Chinese, it gets a little confusing. It gets a little confusing with the token. So in Chinese, we have the one word, the non-fungible, which in English literally just means serial numbers or 排列号. Everybody knows what this means, serial number, it's just a number. But in English, we have the word token, which means something that it can be a quantity or a thing, but really what I was taking for granted is the word token means worthless. We have a phrase in English called a token of my appreciation. 小意思. 给你一个小意思, right? So that's how we say this in English. We use the word token for this. And in Chinese, I think we're kind of missing that with the word 币, because 比特币, so 比特币 is Bitcoin, uses the same word as token, but in English, we have the word coin and token. They're different. So if you have a gold coin, that's a coin. You would never say I have a gold token. But in Chinese, you could say I have a gold, and they use the same word. They use the same word for gold or Bitcoin or NFTs. So I think I'm going to say lost in translation, but I think there's an important meaning there that we need to keep to properly explain this thing.
Yeah, so maybe you can change it to 证明 or something like that.
证明书, right? So we have this, which is more the
证书,
证书. And then also in the beginning, it used to translate as 不可替代的代币, which is 代币.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
don't use the word 币.
I know.
Just maybe call it like 证书.
Right. We could talk about the government too. So the Chinese government has an opinion on what we call this thing too, and they call it
that's right.
电子产品, and they also have a couple other words for it.
藏品.
藏品.
Yeah, that's
so
another word for
collectible or electronic. So 电子产品 or 电子
数字藏品.
数字产品 is more popular in Korea too, because NFTs are not just on blockchain. NFTs are inside of games too, and they're very familiar with that concept.
Okay, so we have seen a lot of artists use NFT, put their artwork, mint their artwork into NFTs, but the functionality of NFT actually is far beyond this, and we have seen many new utilization of the NFT technology. So from your perspective, what do you see as the most interesting development of this utilization of the NFT technology?
What I think is interesting might not be the same as everybody, because I think these concepts are going to be very, very broad.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting in the fact that they're just everywhere,
Mm-hmm.
and in fact, they're not interesting. So I'm excited about things that are going to be common, like receipts that you can prove that you bought something.
Yeah.
That's exciting to me,
Mm-hmm.
because that actually allows a lot of other things.
Mm-hmm.
So in commerce, those are some of the first use cases I was working on and studying, and really looking to inspiration from the existing world.
Mm-hmm.
So commerce is something I'm really excited about. The future's already here, it's just not evenly distributed.
No.
And some places already have this. Like in
Mhm.
Mexico, when you buy things, everything you buy has a QR code.
Mhm.
Taiwan has this too for at least 10 years now. And they do it for tax reasons. So government wants taxes. They want all the receipts to have taxes, right?
Mm-hmm.
China is working on this too.
Right.
The West doesn't have anything like this. The same technology that enables this enables NFTs and
Mhm.
games and all the things that we've seen that are exciting about NFTs. It's all basically the same thing. But I think the receipts and the commerce are an interesting technology because that is mainstream adoption. In terms of art and music, and you're talking about artists, they have actually some similar ideas. They want to avoid fake tickets. They want to recognize
Mhm.
their fans.
Mm-hmm.
So recognizing your fan is very similar to collecting taxes on
Yeah.
buying food. They're actually
Yeah.
very similar.
Yeah, and in the meantime, also they can have other utilities like being collectibles, right? As well.
Collecting them,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then there's benefits too. I guess you could count this as a utility, but when you know who your customers are, you can give them perks.
Mm-hmm.
You can, let's talk about music, right? You can invite people backstage. You can do, if somebody attends 10 of your shows in a row, you might call them out on stage.
Yeah.
That would be really valuable to somebody.
Uh-huh.
They would definitely tell their friends about that.
Yeah.
And that becomes possible if you track who's buying your things.
Uh-huh. What about copyrights, like right to use the music and all that? Would that be also applicable?
I don't think so. I think it's unrelated. But I think that it's important to consider
Mm-hmm.
because the people are going to be using the media.
Mm-hmm.
I think media has changed a lot in the last 20 years. In the past, people used to think about buying media,
Mm-hmm.
and then people used to think about, now they rent media.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a famous quote from Steve Jobs when he was introducing the iTunes music store. And he was explaining why you are allowed to download music, but you weren't allowed to download videos. This is probably, I don't know, 06 or 05 or something. Remember the iPod? Like with the white iPod with the clicky wheel?
Yeah, right.
And Steve Jobs explaining, he says, well, the reason why we're allowing people to download music is because they're used to that.
Mm-hmm.
They're expecting it, so we have to give it to them. But for the future, for video, which is the new thing, for the future, we're not going to give you that. You're only going to be able to rent it. So I think copyright is less important to people, and the controlling of the, for media, existing media, for music and video. Well, I think we're going to talk about some other applications today, and we're seeing other types of media like data, where copyright will become more important.
Right. Great. Okay. So for a big challenge for control the copyright of data for NFT, the underlying digital assets, there is a big challenge, which is the storage. Right. Most of the NFT underlying digital assets are stored on the actually centralized storage, or that can be censored or can be offline by a third party. And some of the project like IPFS and also our project Data Mall Chain, we're trying to set up a marketplace for decentralized data storage that user can publish their data onto the Web3 space with with the ownership belong to the owner itself. So what do you think of decentralized storage can do with NFT technology?
I think with NFTs, this makes more sense because the NFT is the product and the product is connected to the media. So it's not like music or video where a lot of people are watching the same thing. If you have a very specific media, then you want to make sure that it persists because you paid for it. And you're right, IPFS, it can go down. Nobody's guaranteeing to keep that online. Obviously, there's other decentralized storage. DMC is working on this problem. There's a need for that. If you're going to pay for something, you want it to be there, especially the prices people are paying for some of these NFTs, right? You want it to stick around for years. I think the DMC solution is doing two things. One is the storage, and then is the ownership as well. So what's different about that is that the person who owns it can decide whether or not it is online. But whereas with IPFS, anybody can keep it online. Is that kind of where you're going?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting solution, and I don't think anybody else is doing that. But yeah, I think if you're gonna really value an NFT and it's connected to media, you need to make sure that it's available if you want to show it off. I guess this doesn't apply though if you don't want to show it off. Like if it's a transaction, if you just want to sell me media for my private use, then that's maybe different. But if we want to have a gallery, you need to be online.
Yeah, actually, that is one of the big difference between data DMC and IPFS, because the DMC we allow user to control the ownership, to do access control for the data that they own. Yeah, but for IPFS, once you put onto IPFS, the data is there. You cannot take it offline anymore. So. Right, and that you think that will be useful for NFT as well?
Yeah, it's a different. Who are we to judge if it's useful, right? I mean, we just make these things and people love them, and that's something I learned too, is that it's different. The good thing I can see now is that it's different and it's useful, and people will find the uses, and they'll use it, and they'll love it.
Great. Speaking of use cases for NFT and decentralized storage, and also we want to ensure ownership for the underlying digital assets. So one of our unique product, we call it Foggie. Also, we call it your personal portal to the Web3 space. So basically, using Foggie, you can upload your data and publish on the Web3 space. And you can share with people, and also you can enable access control. You can choose who can access your data, who cannot, and also if you want to bring it offline, you can do that with Foggie. Some of the user might think Foggie as a net drive, but it actually is. Has more functionality than a net drive. We think to the Web3 space, it's like a Foggie to the Web3 space to give you management to your data ownership. It's like a smartphone to the mobile internet. So it's your personal portal to get into this Web3 space. So one of the first features that we're going to put in Foggie is allow you to upload your data onto Foggie and publish and mint as NFTs. And so actually two types of NFTs. One is, so say if you have personal you upload your pictures. Everyone has a lot of digital pictures. You can upload to your Foggie and publish, mint as NFTs, and you can share and exchange with your friends. That's one type of NFT. The other NFT is you can mint NFT that's linked to your Foggie, linked to your particular digital assets that user who has the NFT will have the access right,
Unlock.
to unlock the access to your, digital assets. So that is one of the features that we are going to put in the Foggie. And also, we are also encourage our community, our developer community, to put in more features, to put in more apps, decentralized apps, onto our Foggie. Just like the app store on iPhone. So, by the way, we're going to present you an personal Foggie for you to try on the Web3.
Thanks.
And also, what kind of application from your perspective you would like to see on the Foggie?
I think it's interesting to combine, to talk about you're trying to, the first thing you led with, it's different than a net drive.
Right.
And I agree. And there's a big problem with net drives because I'm in Shanghai today, coming around China from the US, and actually there is no net drive that you can use. I went to get some photos taken.
Yeah, right.
And they sent me a photo using Baidu 那个
Baidu 网盘.
Can't use it.
Oh.
I don't have the Chinese phone number.
Yeah.
I did, but it wouldn't receive the SMS, so I literally couldn't look at my photos. And then of course they can't use Google because Google's blocked here.
Yeah.
So we had to like one by one on WeChat.
Yeah.
But of course the problem with WeChat, the problem is it's not high res.
Yeah.
So I literally could not find a way to get the photos from Guizhou to my phone. I think they're gonna have to mail me a USB stick. That's part of the problem. Like you have to solve that problem.
Right.
Not everybody's sending pictures east-west and cares about Google and China and Baidu. But when you're selling NFTs and maybe you're going to be used in different countries, you have to worry about that.
Right.
So that's why you need, NetDrive Plus. Now the other thing is you're saying all these different add-on features. That makes a lot of sense. Nowadays, you can see that the most successful communities are community plus software, plus moderation. Moderation is a whole topic that's going to be a worldwide phenomenon, right? And we're seeing, are we allowed to talk about other online communities?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, so like Reddit. Reddit is going through a very interesting time this week.
Oh.
And it's talking about the power between the company of Reddit versus the moderators. Okay? We've got other communities, Discord.
Yeah.
Discord's added new features, right?
Yeah.
So we're seeing that there's an important relationship between the communities, the people, and then the software.
Right.
Which is unlike the NetDrive. NetDrive doesn't have communities. There's no community on Microsoft. There's no community on Google or Baidu or any of this stuff. But I think if we study Discord and I'm not going to talk about Mastodon yet, but let's say Discord and Reddit, there's a lot we can learn here. And I think the future is going to look more like that versus Baidu. In terms of applications, I think the answer is right there. The answer is going to be chat, photos, payments, like supporting the server, supporting the community, small payments, not like a payment platform, but just like
utility.
Fully much. Just
Absolutely.
Support the server, right? I think that's going to be an important utility. Because why do people join communities? Because they care about something, right?
Yeah.
So maybe they care about gaming. Gaming is a great application. Gaming is a great industry. I don't know if Foggie is going to support gaming directly, or I think it's more likely Foggie is going to support gamers.
Right.
Like the people doing the games, right? And so if Foggie will support payments or leaderboards or these types of, or group chat, storing video from group chat, storing video game. There's a lot of videos for video games, right? Storing that stuff, I think that's going to be great.
I think that's right, and especially the current hottest direction, hottest development is on the AI. And however, most right now all the AI, the LLM model, it's all LLM model. They are all seems to be like centralized, right? And that brings a lot of risk for not only like data leak, but now we're talking about identity theft, right? Or identity hijack, because if you have all your data being feed into the AI model, it can basically hijack your whole identity. So how do you think a decentralized storage can help us in, to protect your privacy in the AI era?
Privacy is important, and the problem comes when people. It's funny because it's private and it's valuable, but the reason that things are getting leaked and hacked is because it's private, but people are giving it away for free. So the incentives aren't aligned. If you have the data, you should charge for access to it.
Right.
So the way you do that is something like an NFT or a usage contract, where you say, I'm going to lend you the data, or I'm going to train your model on the data.
Yeah.
I mean, that's amazing right there. You give me your model, I'll train the model and I'll give it back to you, rather than me giving you the data. We will see more of this coming soon because people don't understand big data. There's a lot of data out there.
Yeah.
And it's really valuable.
Yeah. And also if Reddit is going to charge the open mind for using the data that I created, I want my share, right?
That's coming. These discussions are coming.
Oh yeah. Oh really? That's
They're
that's
not there
good.
yet. I'm telling you the future, right?
Uh-huh.
Like right now, they're complaining because the people on Reddit can't use their apps. They're not even thinking about why am I not getting paid for my data.
Yeah.
That thought will come soon.
Yeah.
Because this protest will not go away. They're not going to back down on this decision because companies need to make money. But the data is very valuable. And here's another thing: is that imagine that you bought all this data.
Yeah.
You want to keep that data. Like you don't want. Also, another thing with AI is you need to keep running the model again. So let's talk about OpenAI, ChatGPT. How old is that data? It's years old.
Yeah.
They need to run. There's a lot of data in it. They need to run that model again, and that's why the other models are doing so well. Is they're updating faster. If you're going to update your ML, your AI data, your AI models, you need to run the same data, which means you need to keep a lot of data. Where do you put that data?
Yeah. And
How do you share that data?
exactly, and then you need to ensure the ownership of those data.
Yeah, you made the set. This is your data, right? So what are you going to do with it? And there's also processing. So it's not just collect the data from Reddit. You have to tokenize it. I mean, I guess that's a commodity, but there's other things you can do with that data before you put it into the ML. And right now, we're only seeing a few players. We're seeing a few players are well known, right? So like AI, Microsoft uses AI, they're very far behind, and Facebook, everybody knows their model because it leaked. There's just a few well-known players. There's a lot of people doing AI, and there's a lot of companies that are using it in-house. Those companies need terabytes, tens, hundreds of terabytes of storage to do that per company.
Yeah. We actually, in our DMC community, we have a couple of projects that's working on that. How to set up for individual enterprises to set up their own private LLM models, or even for individuals to set up.
And remember, LLM is just language, it's just words. Think of the data storage for words. We didn't even get to photos yet. We're barely doing photos.
Right.
Medical diagnostics for photos is going to put a lot of doctors out of business. Especially in radiology. Don't study radiology. Don't go to school for radiology right now. Or there's a lot of medical fields that are just going to be replaced by the LLM of images. We're seeing a couple, but there's going to be a lot more. The storage requirements for images is way larger. And for medical images, they have to use, everything's got to be high resolution. It's not going to be like, stable diffusion or some low res pics. It's going to be medical grade. They're not even photos, they're scans.
And actually, we do have large image data sets already, like for face recognition, right? I think, in China or even in Western countries right now, face recognition, that's large data sets for AI as well.
And there's just a few people using them. So there are a few large companies that are known for the face data sets. there's a lot more applications coming. There's a lot of storage for this data, and I don't know if I should say this, but like it's a sensitive industry.
Yeah.
I don't know, like say it right, but like the data is sensitive, so get it while you can. Like,
Yeah, that's right.
this
That's
stuff's
right.
not going to be like out there forever.
It's not going to be out. Yeah.
This is like
Up for grabs.
2018. I was working on NFTs, right? And I was at the licensing expo, and these are the people selling licenses for like Oreo cookies. You could buy a license to use Oreo cookies on socks. You could also buy a license to put Oreo cookies in video games. Nobody's doing that. And I was with some licensing brokers. They bought ridiculous licenses. Like you would walk up to them and you're like, okay, well, we want these cookies and these shoes, and we want a license to use them for NFTs. And they're like, what's NFTs? Yeah, we'll sell you the license. And the prices are very low.
Okay. And
because they don't know how valuable it is. They're like,
yeah.
Who wants to buy cookies in a video game? We'll give you the license for very cheap. Now, if you go up to a cookie company and you're like, we want to sell those cookies in the video games,
Yeah.
they're going to charge you more for the cookie in the video game than for the cookie in real life. Because they're very valuable. Same thing with Reddit data. If you could get all of Reddit data last year, get it now while you can.
Yeah.
Store it. Buy petabyte storage. Buy 10 petabytes.
Yeah.
You can download video, download the whole internet while you still can. Because all of it's going to be for sale soon.
Yeah.
When people realize how valuable this stuff is.
Good point. Good point. Yeah, actually, I think that's a good advice for everyone that, get your data storage while it's cheap. Yeah, and get the data while it's free.
Get the data while it's free, and
Yeah, it's
people
gonna
don't know
be-
what it's worth.
Yeah.
And then your application comes out, you put all the doctors out of business, you take all the photos of medical imaging, you put all the doctors out of business, and like, we should have charged you more for that photo. And you're like, yep, you should have.
Yeah, good point. So the goal for Data Mall chain is to promote real data storage exchange in the Web3 space. And we are going to launch 2 market campaigns. One is to recruit storage providers. So whoever has a spare storage space, it's your spare hard drive space, or your personal NAS, or your spare network storage space, you can share to the community, and the DMC Foundation will help you to set it up on the DMC network, and will provide the kickoff. We'll provide token for kickoff staking, and also we're going to also be the LP for your to expand your storage service. That is, so our goal is to have up to 50 petabyte of storage space on the network. And the second campaign, we call it the public data charity. So for all the useful public data, being public data museum, or online library, or test data for a university lab, the DMC Foundation will through a registration website, we will help up to 100 petabyte of public data to be stored on the DMC network, and the foundation will provide the kickoff DMC token to buy the storage space for this public data. We try to do that in order to promote more data to get on the Web3 space. So what do you think of the marketing campaign?
I think the application's great. I personally contribute to archive.org, which is another one that's similar industry. I've also put data on there, and I contribute to them. I think it's a great cause. You're talking about redundant storage across the network for universities. I think universities are great too because they're sharing this test data. So you've also got, if you remember, Internet 2 was based on this.
Yeah.
So IPv6, the whole point of well, aside from the there's a lot of things with IPv6, but one of the original purposes of the internet too was to move all the test data from the particle accelerators across the different schools. Particle acceleration generates a lot of data, and they had to get it from one side to the other. I was also working on 100 gigabit Ethernet back on the day on the low level protocols. That's why this stuff exists. So I think starting with this campaign for this application is a great application, and universities are always happy to have resources.
Yeah, that's right.
Right? And if some of this data, if they're allowing it to be public, or this supports private and public, or what does it support?
It supports public and private. We're going to help public first, and then we're going to also launch another campaign for private data to help people for their use for private data.
Yeah, this is great for the universities specifically. It's great. They have an enormous amount of data for these. I'm talking about particle and physics research. That's a great application in terms of more community, maybe Wikipedia, Gutenberg type of maybe text or whatever. Obviously, this is a great application. A lot of people use this data. They're sending the data into space.
Yeah.
In case we blow up the Earth, at least it's still in space, right? This is how valuable this data is. We're literally putting it in space.
Right.
And happy to hear that you're supporting the application.
Thank you. So, as a long-term friend, what kind of advice, or what do you think that we should do for the future development of DMC?
Yeah, I think the storage project is the data charity is a great plan, and it's a great way to show off. Not everybody has 100 petabytes laying around that they can just use, right? So that's a demonstration.
Yeah.
And to be honest, you're working on decentralized storage. Other people have done that. IPFS has done that. When you come out with 100 terabytes that works and is fast, you've already beat IPFS at their own game. Because IPFS doesn't have 100 terabytes that are quickly accessible. There's a lot of slow data, and anybody who's used IPFS knows that there's a lot of limitations. So if you can execute on that, that's a great demonstration. In terms of the community, I understand that there's already developers. I'm happy to see maybe some focused or some community relations there. I think this is. I think when I think the data charity, when you prove that, you're going to inspire a lot of people with what can be done. I hope we are able to show off enough.
We very welcome you to contribute to the public data charity program. So if you have more data, and also especially, what do you think of for the valuable NFTs, for those NFT data, underlying digital assets for those NFTs to be stored on the DMC network?
It makes a lot of sense. We have to ask the community. I mean, I don't have the answer for this. I don't speak for the whole community, right? So I think that some projects care about this, about who would be the one to put it. Would it be the artist the one to put it there? Because DMC recognizes an owner, right? So would it be the creator of the project? Would it be the token holder? Could it be anybody? I don't know. This is something that we should probably ask the communities of how they feel. And sometimes, just like I don't speak for any community, the community doesn't speak for itself. So we have to really understand if it's appropriate. It might not be appropriate, especially in some specific communities. And also communities change. Like, for example, CryptoPunks came under, they got purchased, and their rules changed, their copyright changed. All this changed overnight.
That's right.
So we want to bring this enormous capability with the 100 petabytes, and that's going to be good execution. And you want to bring this capability and then understand the community. Do they support this? Maybe they don't support it. Maybe they do. But I think that's the future, is getting into these communities, hard work, one by one, making more friends.
Yes. Yeah, we're currently working with multiple different communities, like digital photographers, and also the sports, sports fans community. They are big NFT users, and also we're working with, the developer community, and also the gaming communities, and also we're also working with several exchanges. We're discussing about listing the token. So currently, we are in a very rapid developing stage, and we hope that we can, the community can grow stronger. So do you have any blessing for the DMC project?
Yeah, first I want to say congratulations for what you've achieved so far, and I think your vision is pretty good, pretty clear. Like, you got to go do it, right? So there's more to do. So blessings on that. Blessings on all the plans that you've made so far, and go get them.
Thank you, William. It's a pleasure talking to you, and our team will continue to work on to build a free, secure, open, and free decentralized storage service for Web3. And we hope you have a nice trip, happy time for the rest of your trip, and also have a safe trip back home.
Great, thank you. Pleasure's mine.
Thank you.